How to increase your self-awareness and get to know yourself by Aion Farvahar. Self-awareness is the most essential human quality. But when we become consumed or hyper-focused on the events in the outside world, we lose connection to ourselves and what is happening inside us. We become the last person on earth that we are curious about. We become the last person we want to know. Hi, this is Aion Farvahar. I'm glad you're here. If it's your first time here, this channel is about self-realization and honoring our life purpose and meaning. If you're interested in these topics, please subscribe. Your support encourages me to create more content in the future. Today, we want to focus on self-awareness and how we can get to know ourselves better. Unfortunately, self-awareness is not something we are born with, and we need to learn to develop it in the course of our life. This is because from our very first days in this world, most of our attention and sense of awareness had to be focused on what was going on around us, because our livelihood depended on that. Starting from when we were little, our mind cared more about our environment and the people around us, leaving little space for what was happening inside us. The more unpredictable the environment or unsettled the people around us were, the less chance we had to connect to ourselves or develop self-awareness. Awareness of our environment is an existential part of our nature, but when we become consumed or hyper-focused on the events in the outside world, we lose connection to ourselves. We instead focus on knowing and figuring out the people around us, because we believe our happiness and well-being depends on them. Consider this presentation as an invitation to start focusing more on yourself, to become more self-aware and curious about everything that makes you who you are, including all aspects of your personality and your aspirations in life. For example, if there is something that you want, do you know why you want that? How aligned is what you want with who you are? If you know what you want, but somehow seem unmotivated to pursue it, what part of you is blocking you from that and why? I hope you find the ideas presented here helpful in understanding yourself better, and through that, develop more self-awareness. What is self-awareness? What is self-awareness? The answer is not as simple, because self-awareness has different layers and happens in both psychological and spiritual dimensions. So to understand what self-awareness means, we need to know these dimensions. As defined here, self-awareness happens in the following three dimensions: awareness of ourselves and all aspects of our personality, awareness of what we want and why we want that, and awareness of our true nature beyond our personality or what we want. Let's focus on these dimensions. Awareness of ourselves and all aspects of our personality. Awareness of ourselves is about the ability to notice various aspects of our personality as we experience them. For example, noticing our feelings, our thoughts, or our beliefs. Our awareness of ourselves is not about having certain feelings or thoughts, but rather noticing that we have them, like an observer. Let's consider an example to further clarify this. Let's assume I feel anxious without any obvious reason. I can acknowledge this feeling in two ways. One way is to simply say, I'm anxious. Another way is to say, I notice some anxiousness in me. Although similar in meaning, these two statements reflect different levels of self-awareness. Let's clarify what I mean. When I notice the anxiousness in me, I become aware of it like an observer, as if I'm noticing anxiousness in others. Because I notice the anxiousness in me and become aware of it, I can also invite curiosity toward it. For example, I could focus on my anxiousness and ask what it is anxious about, or check what I can do so it does not have to be as anxious. If I simply say I am anxious, I can become overwhelmed with it and can no longer observe myself or become more curious toward my anxiousness. Noticing our feelings and thoughts as we experience them is subtle and needs practice, but it is the most important aspect of self-awareness. Without it, it is not possible to become self-aware, because we will remain subject to our feelings and thoughts and jump from one to another depending on what we experience. You can increase your self-awareness by noticing your feelings and thoughts as you experience them. This allows you to see them as parts of your personality, become curious about them, and understand why they're there. Awareness of what we want and why we want that. Who we are as an individual and what we want in life are two different aspects of our being. For example, you may have a good understanding of your personality, but not be as certain about what you want in life. That is why your self-awareness must also include an awareness of what you want and why you want that. This is important because what you want ultimately dictates the quality of life you live. So to have a rich and fulfilled life, you always need to find the answers to the following three questions. What do you want in life? Why do you want that? And is what you want in harmony with your personality? Let's start with the question of what you want in life. If you're not sure what that is, you may want to consider a vision quest in nature, or at least contemplate on what is missing from your life. I have described an approach to do such contemplation toward the end of one of my previous presentations on life purpose. In case you're interested, I have provided a link to it in the description below. Now, assuming you already know what you want, the next question is why you would want that. One way to find the answer is to imagine how you would feel if you get what you want. You probably feel great, at least in the beginning, but check whether you would feel the same a year or two after. This is important because sometimes the things we want lose their value as soon as we get them, leaving us wanting more or something else all over again. Sometimes we believe that the things we pursue can forever transform our life, but that is not always the case. So it is important for you to imagine not only getting what you want, but also checking how you would feel years after that. This helps you see whether or not what you pursue has a lasting impact on your life, or it is rather a form of desire. Aside from questions of what you want and why you want it, you also need to focus on one more question, which is about the harmony between what you want and your personality. For example, if I consider myself an introvert or value my peace and privacy, I should probably not want something, even any success, that makes me the center of attention of others. It is surprisingly common to see people wanting or pursuing something that is in conflict with their personality. That is why many people switch careers. For example, a doctor becoming a teacher, a corporate person quitting to become an organic farmer, or even once married couples get separated to pursue their own individual life. These are examples when our self-awareness is not fully there to prevent us from making choices that are not fully aligned with our nature. So to summarize, self-awareness should also include knowing what we want and why we want that, while making sure that is also in harmony with all aspects of our personality. Awareness of our true nature beyond our personality and what we want. Self-awareness also has a deeper layer, a dimension that goes beyond our individuality or pursuit of our ideals. This level of awareness is not about who we are as a person or what we want in life. It is about our recognition of what life is as a whole, and through that, our awareness of who actually experiencing this life. It is about realizing that there must be a higher purpose of us being here. If we contemplate on this, our life seems like a personal journey in the axis of time, a journey with a beginning and an end. So, if we view life as a journey, then who is the traveler experiencing it? You and I are. But what aspect of us? If we are here to experience this journey, then we must have come from somewhere. Somewhere we need to return to when our journey comes to an end. There must be a living essence within each one of us, an essence that is beyond the person we perceive to be in this life. That essence is what we need to become aware of, because that is our true nature and who we really are beyond the role we happen to play in this life. If you consider yourself spiritual, you may view this essence as your soul. Even if you are not as spiritual, there is enough empirical evidence, both psychological and metaphysical, that point to the existence of consciousness that can be experienced beyond the boundaries of our body or personality. We can call this consciousness as our true nature or our purest sense of self, away from everything in this life that would otherwise define us. Our self-awareness becomes complete when we can notice, feel, and connect to our true nature, our soul, or our purest sense of self. This is possible through various psycho-spiritual inner works, for example, using techniques like IFS, active imagination, various meditation practices, and shamanic journeying. If you're interested to know more about some of these techniques, I have provided a few links about them in the description below. Closing remarks. Self-awareness happens in different layers and dimensions. It brings clarity to our life and empowers us to have more self-reliance and trust. When we become self-aware, we awaken our higher mind. We can notice our feelings and thoughts as we experience them, know why they're there, and what they want us to know about them. When we are self-aware, we know what we want in life and why we want that. Our self-awareness becomes complete when we experience ourselves, not by identifying with our body or personality, but rather as our true essence, as our soul, and as our purest sense of self. If you have found this presentation inspiring, please like and share it with your like-minded friends. Please subscribe to my channel and share your thoughts and comments. Your support is the foundation of this channel and encourages me to create more content in the future. Also, if you have requests for future topics, please share it as a comment or contact me through my bio link below. For more information about myself and life mentorship services I offer, please find my bio link in the description below. Blessings.